Hey guys, welcome back for another video. I don't know if you can hear the TV in the background, but we are in my room. My youngest was supposed to be taking a nap, and I'm not really sure if he had a bad dream or what was going on, but he woke up and he was pretty upset. And so he is laying on the bed here next to me, and he's kind of half asleep, kind of watching TV, just kind of chilling. We don't usually watch TV during the day all that much. It's a big thing that we've really been working on in our house, but I think this is kind of a special circumstance. I don't really know what's going on with him. It could just be lack of sleep. It could just be that he really wasn't ready to get up yet, but something woke him up. But his verbal capabilities are not quite there where he can tell us what's really going on or what the problem is. It also could just be that we've been outside a lot lately. The weather has been nice. We had a nice picnic with our family yesterday. And so he may just still be tired. Really hoping that he's not getting sick or something, and that's why he's doing this. But he's also, I just noticed, kind of whimpering a little bit in his sleep, but he doesn't want to be cuddled. I think he's also very sweaty, which is why he doesn't want to be cuddled. So now he's just kind of laying here relaxing. So let's see if I can get this video done with him here without too many interruptions. So in this video, this is going to be part one of a two-part series. And in this part, I'm going to talk about how we have contact with birth parents from the perspective of foster care. So we have been doing this for 5 years, I think 5 years, and we have had communication with birth parents all over the spectrum. We have some parents that we had absolutely no communication with at all, and we have had birth parents who we have had daily, pretty much daily communication with. And in the past, I've always just kind of taken the lead of the birth parents. There are some birth parents who, they really, so most all birth parents really love their child. It's just whether or not they can overcome their situation to be able to take well care of their child. But I have had parents who want to know every day what is going on. And I know a lot of foster parents are like, that's too much. I can't talk to them every single day. It's too much. And for me personally, it is more encouraging to me when those birth parents are reaching out daily, wanting to know what's going on and what their child's been doing and all of those types of things. I just kind of think like if I were in that situation, or when I'm in a situation where my kids are gone for a weekend and we needed to go somewhere or do something, I constantly want to know what my kids are doing. Even if they're gone for a few hours and my mom takes our youngest for a few hours, I probably call her or text her two to three times wanting to know how he's doing, what's going on. And so to me, it's only natural that a birth parent would want to do that when they're separated from their child. Now, I'm always very upfront with birth parents, and I tell them, you know what, you can feel free to text me whenever you like. I can't guarantee you that I will be able to answer you right away, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I always make sure that I'm very timely about returning messages or anything like that. If I'm walking into something that I know is going to take if I'm walking into something that I know is going to take a significant amount of time for me to answer them back, I will just send a quick text message and I'll say, look, I'm walking into a meeting and it's going to be a few hours and I will get back to you when I'm done, just so that they know that that's what's going on. As far as phone calls go, if I'm available when they call, answer the phone and talk to them. If I'm not available, a lot of times I'll text and I'll say, hey, this isn't a great time right now. You can give us a call back anytime between 2 and 3, or between 2 and 5, or whatever your time frame is that you will be able to talk to them. Another thing that is maybe a little different where we live, all birth families have our address. They know where we live. It's in the court paperwork. Unless there is a significant safety concern, then that information is omitted from court paperwork. For me, in all of this time that we've been doing this, we've only had one birth family show up unannounced at our house. It wasn't the most pleasant of situations, but I handled the situation the way I was supposed to, and we went on from there, and it never happened again. In terms of our phone numbers, our workers generally, now in the past, our workers have never just given out our phone number to birth families. They've always asked and said, like, is it okay if I share your phone number with the birth mom or the birth dad or whomever if they need to in the case. And for me personally, I am not a person who can manage like Google Voice apps or other, text messaging apps where it assigns you like a blind phone number so they don't know your actual phone number. That's too much work for me, and so I just give them my phone number. I've never had it become a problem where parents have been calling repeatedly inappropriately or texting repeatedly inappropriately. I have had birth parents call or text at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I generally leave my phone on silent during the night, so I didn't even know that they called or that they texted. And if it was more than a one-time thing, or if it became an issue, then it was just something I would bring up with the social workers, and I would say, hey, I don't mind. These are the parameters that I have given the birth parents. I have told them, like, you cannot contact me after 8 p.m., between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. or whatever my time frame is, and they're not abiding by my choices in the matter of this, and I need your assistance to help reiterate that that's not okay. And I've always had workers back me up. In the instance when I did have a birth parent call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, it happened a couple times, and then it was brought to my attention because the birth parent didn't say anything, but it was brought to my attention that that's probably when they were on their break at lunch, or on their lunch break, because they worked a third shift job, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that they worked a third shift job. Obviously, I'm not going to continue to return their phone calls at 2 a.m. But I guess I could see why they would text at 2 a.m. and say, like, hey, what's going on? And we ended up just working out a situation where they would call right before bedtime, like right before they were going into work, and we'd have our conversations then. But again, I've never had an issue with parents abusing the system or abusing the fact that they have my phone number or address. I kind of feel like the more forthcoming I am with that information, the less it matters to them than if it's more secretive. Another way that I like to also have continued communication with birth parents is that I generally volunteer to handle transport to and from visits, or at least one direction, usually transporting 2 visits, and then the workers bring them back after visits. Now, there are times when I cannot transport, and our workers are more than willing to do the transporting for us if we can't do it, or whatever program they're using to supervise the visits. We have some outsourced we have some outsourced programs that supervise for visits, so it's not always social workers doing it. But in general, I transport to visits because that's my chance to see the birth parents. It's my chance to say, hey, like, how are you? And kind of start building that relationship with them, especially early on in the beginning. I have met all of our birth parents that way. And that has all been transporting to those initial visits. It's really nice because I tend to show up to visits about 15 minutes early, and I've had quite a few birth parents who also show up 5 to 10 minutes early, and our workers generally don't come to get the kids until a couple minutes early. So it's kind of nice. I can have kind of 5-10 minute conversation with birth parents, and again, I've never had a problem where they've been rude or inappropriate. Also, for me, sometimes you have transport companies that transport the kids, and then you're trying to send a kid with someone they don't know, and that can also be difficult. And so for me, it's just easier for me to do it. We don't have to transition the kids maybe to people that they don't know if you have a company who's transporting, or with strangers. Again, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have a lot more flexibility than people who are working, or if kids are getting picked up from daycare or those types of situations. So I always view that as a way to get to talk to the parents, and those to get to know the parents a little bit. You would be surprised how much birth parents share with you when social workers aren't around. I have had birth parents tell me so many things that I don't really need to know, but they're just opening up to me, and they tend to be more freely giving information when the social workers are not around. In cases where I haven't been able to do the transportation, so when we first started fostering, I was working a full-time job. Our kiddo was in a daycare center, and transportation wasn't something that I could do at that time. What I ended up doing was including a notebook in his go bag or his visit bag, and I would just write little notes in it, pretty much on a daily or every other day business. That was for a little guy. He was 9 months old when we got him. So I would write things like, oh, he took his first step today. I would put pictures in there that mom could keep, or that dad could keep. I would put little projects in there from daycare that were sent home that they could keep. I would encourage, but didn't always get a note back from mom or dad. If I had questions, I would write the questions in there. In the beginning, the workers who were supervising the visits were really great about saying, hey, foster mom wrote you this note, if you want to read it. And that has also been a really great way. Another way that I use to keep open those lines of communication, like I said, were to just continue on sending pictures and artwork. If we do have a relationship where we're texting with one another, it makes sending pictures super easy. I've read a lot in the past about how other foster families get upset when they take the pictures that you've sent them and they post them on their social media or anything like that. My suggestion to you is, it's their child. They can post the pictures wherever you want. If you're concerned about it, make sure you're only sending pictures with their kid or kiddos in it. Just make sure there's no pictures of you guys or your own family, identifying features of your home if you're worried about stuff like that. Again, those things don't really bother me. However, I do make sure that I don't send, if we have multiple foster children from separate families, those are all individual pictures. I just send them pictures of just their child. So if they choose to post it to social media, then that's great. Chances are people who are on their social media either really know them or they don't know them. So they either really know that they don't have their kids and that picture is either old or it came from somewhere else, or, it doesn't matter because they don't really know them anyway. And then the last way that I have kept in contact with birth parents, and this has only happened in one of our cases, but we did have a birth mom who, her situation was a little more unique. She did not really have in herself a neglect or abuse or anything situation. It was more of a domestic abuse situation. So mom herself was also being abused and stuck in the abuse situation. So they removed the kids until mom could get herself in a better place. Now, this mom was no threat to me, my family, or anyone else. We had some extensive medical things to go through with one of her kiddos. She was always at doctor's appointments. She's the bio mom who texted me every day to find out what was going on and how her child was doing. We would have conversations on the phone. There was a little bit of a language barrier with her, so we didn't have as many phone conversations. But she was also granted daily hour visits, Monday through Friday, in court. And after the first few weeks, it just became a lot for the little one to be going back and forth every single day for a visit. And the little one had a visit every single day with mom and every single day with dad. And they could not be visits together. The visits had to be separated. And so at one point I said to the worker, I said, how would you feel about having visits here at our house? Because it was really taking a toll on the little one. And like I said, I had a good relationship going forward with mom. Nobody had any concerns about her. And so the worker said, yeah, we can do that. We can arrange that. And agreed with me that it would be a lot easier for the kiddo to not be thrown all over the place. And this was like a baby. She was only 3 months old when we got her. And so it was just a lot of disruption to her day. And so they started coming for visits here. And then I would say after a couple weeks, the worker called me and said, hey, like, how are things going? Is this still working for you? And I, said everything was great. And then they asked if I would start supervising the visits instead of having someone else supervise the visits. And I said, yeah, sure, that's fine. That's great. And so she's the only birth parent that we've had in our home. I'm not opposed to having birth parents in our home. I'm not opposed to having visits in our home. Like I said, that was kind of a relationship we built up to. We built up to it rather quickly in a matter of a couple weeks. But I think because she was the type of person who truly wanted to know how her children were doing daily, it really made it easy for me to see that, she really was working really hard to correct her situation so that she could get her kids back. She was also very open with me. She was very honest with me. We had to go to several specialty appointments that were a few hours away, and she would ride in the car with me, and everything was just pretty easy with that relationship. Now, we've had kiddos where if they asked me if the birth parents could do visits in our home, I probably would say no, just because I would be concerned about that. So we have also had a few cases where it is parents' responsibility to reach out 1 to 2 times a week to find out how their kiddo is doing. And in those cases, I am not as forthcoming with text messages and pictures and those types of things, because the birth parents really need to start showing some, especially because the birth parents really need to start showing some initiative. They need to be reaching out to me. Now, once we kind of have moved past that point, then we get more into the openness of the conversation and those types of things. If you guys have any other suggestions on or ideas moving forward for us on how we can communicate better with birth parents and things that we can do differently or additional things we can do to communicate with birth parents, feel free to comment them below. We're always looking for new ideas, new things, new ways to handle things, and everything that goes along with that. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2 of this video series, where I talk about how our communication looks with adoptive bio families and where things are going with us for that. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.